What's going on, everyone? Daniel Rodriguez here. It's time to review Daredevil Season 2, Episode 9, titled 7 Minutes in Heaven. This is a spoiler review. Make sure you have seen the episode, and it should take me less than 2 minutes to recap the episode, give you the pros, cons, and final score. Thanks so much for joining me. My playlist down below has Jessica Jones Season 1 reviews. They are spoiler reviews, so in case you want to check that out. And if you look at my playlist on the channel, if you click on the channel, you can look for my Daredevil Season 1 reviews. See how I felt a year ago with that. Big episode, man. This is the big one. Of course, again, spoilers. Make sure you have seen it. So, Kingpin. Kingpin has returned. He's back, of course. Vincent D'Onofrio is back. And I just love the way he plays Kingpin, man. He's just... Vanessa this, you know, like, the way he talks, yeah. Almost like, I don't know, just the way that he inhabited Kingpin always reminded me of the 90s show. In a sort of way, that look of the Spider-Man show, you know, it's like Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, that 90s show that happened, the cartoon. And Kingpin was in there. It had a deep voice and everything, and I just remember Kingpin so much from that era. And that, you know, I grew up with the 60s cartoon and the 90s cartoon with Spider-Man, the same Spider-Man, obviously, but with Kingpin, definitely for sure, that's what I remember of Kingpin, for sure, the 90s cartoon. So seeing him in Season 1 and then him just freaking blowing it out of the, like, he made it, man. He is Kingpin. Well, now, officially, he's Kingpin now on the show. But he's amazing. He's an amazing actor, man. He plays it so well, and just, it's great to have Wilson Fisk back. So anyway, let's get right to it. First off, Fisk arrives to prison. We see what happens after Season 1 when he gets arrested. So he arrives to prison. He's threatened by Dutton. This guy's Dutton, and he basically calls himself the Kingpin of prison. And he's like, hey, like, you know, he's warning him, like, you're not going to uprise in here. I'm the man. You're not. You hear me? And basically he's just like, yes, yeah. I just love the way Fisk talks, dude. I love it, man. And of course, Fisk makes friends. You know, he makes friends with a few people, man. And he ends up, like, calling his lawyer to pay their family or whatever, basically. So, like, to take care of them. And he's running out of money. Frank arrives to this prison, Frank Castle, and that's where he ends up meeting Fisk. Fisk wants him to kill Dutton. So, of course, Foggy doesn't want to do the law firm anymore. He's tired of it. He's not with Matt anymore. He's not on that same page with Matt Murdock. Matt's kind of like, I'm surprised Matt wasn't like, Foggy, you need to listen, because when they're talking, they just kind of brush each other off. Foggy's kind of like, no, Matt, you listen. And then they kind of just like... walk away sort of thing. So that's been going on lately with them. Karen is working at the Bulletin right now. Matt leaves Elektra. Matt leaves Elektra basically kind of like after she just totally like, oh, we should be together, we should do all that, like let's be together. Matt just leaves her, man. He's kind of like, get out sort of thing. So he goes after Stan, and his son is held hostage. There's a fight that goes on where they find Stan's son, and there's like blood boiling in this ancient room, and they're all like freaking pipes of like taking their blood out, and it's boiling. Freaky ancient shit, man. And we see Nobu. Nobu returns, man. He ends up fighting Daredevil for a little bit. Frank ends up killing Dutton, or at least he ends up getting him to bleed out. And there's this huge old fight, man. He does the job. He kills the two guys. He's walking, man. He's, you know, blood on him. And all of a sudden, the guards close the gate, and they open all the cellars, man. And those are Dutton's guys. Those are Dutton's men. And they see that he's dead, and they're like, oh, my, it's you. And then they end up all fighting. And, I mean, Frank massacres them, dude. I mean, literally, the fighting and the choreography. And, dude, John Bernthal plays it so well, and he's pissed. He's angry. Literally, Kingpin was going to have him killed. And that's the thing, because right when he opens the cellar doors, Kingpin's at the top. He's like, Mr. Castle, thank you for killing Dutton. Thank you there. And just kind of walks away, and he's like, you know. And I think that's the part, doesn't he run, and he's like, and he's like, he He goes fucking, it's like he goes to rage mode, basically. It's really amazing. He kills everyone, and I love it because the SWAT comes in and they're like, boom, 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 on the shield, and they grab him, and it shows like this water, this reflection. It has like the blood, like someone's face fell on. It's like a skull, and I'm like, that's amazing. I was like, holy shit, the skull on the blood and everything. I was like, that's the idea. There it goes to Frank Castle's head, that skull. You see skulls everywhere. You know, his skull, like the skeleton, the x-ray, the examination. So many skulls that he saw, man. Kind of gives you an idea. So anyway, he ends up going to Fisk, and he fights Fisk because he's basically locked up, and Fisk comes in. Mr. Castle, thank you for doing the work. I did try to have you killed, but plans change. We learn to adapt. And of course, you know, Frank's angry, and he fights, like, he literally, I think, headbutts Kingpin, or Fisk, excuse me, and then Fisk is like, Fisk goes full fucking ape like he always does. He like does his two hands and everything, basically hurting Frank bad. He ends up telling Frank that he's free. You are free. You have to do my work, you know, like go out there and, you know, work for me sort of thing. So he's let go. He's out of prison, man. That's it. Frank Castle barely arrived to prison for like 1 day, and now he's gone, man. Cell Block D, no more. He's out of there. Nobu is still alive after, you know, Nobu ends up taking his mask off, and Daredevil's like, you died. We live forever, something like that. He ends up going down in the elevator, and he goes with the casket in the elevator, whatever, this ancient casket down, and that's about it, man. What did I think about this episode overall? First off, let me give you the pros. Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio again as Kingpin, fantastic, man. He was really, really amazing in here. It's good to have him back. I really missed him, and it's good. I'm glad that they showed a whole episode basically in the beginning of him, showing him how he got, like, after season 1, he's wearing his stuff, he's taking off all his clothes and everything, you know, and taking off the whatever the duds you call them. Really nice. I really thought that was cool, you know, just after events, because I loved the Wilson Fisk origin story in Daredevil season 1. I think it was episode 5, where it showed him when he was a kid and everything, and the life he had. He killed his father and all that. That was really nice. The Punisher, man, Frank Castle. I mean, he's not the Punisher yet, technically, but he is Frank. Like, obviously, he doesn't have the name. Like, they call him the Punisher, but he's not the Punisher yet. But Frank Castle, dude, he was amazing here as well. The blood and the fighting, the choreography, all the action. Even with Daredevil versus Nobu, the action. Always, Daredevil has great action, man. You can't get enough of it. The action's really great. Daredevil in here was awesome. The episode as Matt Murdock as well. Obviously, Charlie Cox does an amazing job. The opening of the episode where Fisk arrives to prison, like I said, a very intense episode for sure, even the prison fight. The directing, the cinematography in here, all the camera work was awesome. The fight with Nobu was awesome as well. Fisk with Dutton, the whole thing where at the end, I forgot to tell you, Dutton is like bleeding out and his lungs are filling up with blood, and Fisk is like, don't worry, Dutton. He's like cutting his meat. I'll be here with you until the end. Like, he's basically just bleeding out, and like, he's kind of like, bitch, who's the Kingpin now? Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Anyway, the skull on shirt resemblance, like, look of it, I thought that was really neat and cool that Marvel did that. So the cons, man, the only things I didn't like about this episode, I wasn't a big fan of the ending. You're still alive? We always live forever. Something like that. I was like, oh my god, like, you're still alive. It's almost like, when the trailer came out and I saw that guy and he had his like Nobu style, I was like, that's Nobu. He's alive. Big deal. He was alive. Okay, cool. So what? They're immortal. It's not. There's immortality in the Marvel, or just it will be. So it's not a big deal. So what? He's alive. You know, I was kind of like, okay, it's not that. Like, that's the way you're gonna end the episode. Just him going down in an elevator. You could have got back up and freaking gone in that elevator, threw something at him, but you didn't. You know, it's sort of that kind of ending. They're not digging, like, I'm not digging all the blood boiling stuff. Like, I'd rather see Frank Castle's story, I'd rather see Foggy's story, I'd rather see Karen's story, but yet they're showing, of course, the bigger picture with the blood boiling and the kids and all, like, just for me, and I'm not saying it's the worst for the show or anything, it does work later in later episodes, but for this episode, when I saw it, I wasn't digging it. I didn't dig all that stuff. I was kind of like, I wasn't really digging Daredevil's story this episode, honestly. I'd rather see Frank in prison. I'd rather see Kingpin. I'd rather see Foggy or Karen. I'd rather see them instead of what Daredevil was doing this episode. And also, he leaves Elektra like, really, what's going on? Matt's like, Elektra, I love you. And then the next night, who doesn't say I love you, but he's like, Elektra, like, they like, all, they're nice to each other, and then, get out of here. And then again, stay with me, Elektra. Get out of here. Like, they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Stop going back and forth, man. Anyway, I'm going to end up giving this episode of Daredevil 7 Minutes in Heaven an A-. I thought it was another great episode, man. Very entertaining. Of course, Frank Castle and Wilson Fisk made the episode even better. So, comment down below. Tell me your favorite parts about this episode, your least favorite parts, all that good stuff. And I'll be seeing you for episode 10, 11, 12, and 13 of the reviews, man. Thanks again. Want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button. Really would appreciate that. Until next time, bye-bye.